I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everyone. It's a diminished crowd due to many vacations. So Ray won't be here tonight, and the assessors are gone, and Mike Cooper is gone. So
What are you all doing here?
We have no place to go.
you are on vacation.
Yes.
All right, Judy, approval of the minutes and.
It's the June 18th minutes and the July report.
I move that we adopt the minutes and the report as submitted. I had given Judy just one change where we needed to change a tree into a truck.
Tree into a truck.
Yes.
With that change, I move that we accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the bills?
I move that we approve general bills numbers 16,929 through 16,946. Highway bills 16,947 through 16,960. There are no water bills this month.
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, do you want to talk about the minutes from the other meeting?
From
The
Twyla?
workshop meeting?
Is everyone prepared to talk about them?
I was good with whatever you guys sent in the email.
I have copies of there was an update.
That was the final one that you sent, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was your last email, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a typo in Raplansky.
What?
I misspelled the
R-E. It's at the very end of the first paragraph.
R-E, okay, sorry. The spell check doesn't get that.
I know.
On our Rip Torn, right? I would move that we accept these amended minutes.
I'd second that.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, supervisor statement. This started out really short and then it grew all day. This month we got word that we received 2 municipal innovation grants from Dutchess County. The big one is for a sewer feasibility study. This study will allow us to look at what we could build in town, what we need, where it could be located, and what it would cost. The lack of a municipal waste system in our downtown has really held back the growth of existing businesses as well as our attractiveness to new business, and I'm excited to get started to see what we might do here. The second grant was a collaborative effort by a number of towns whom we joined to get training for our police in crisis intervention, which is targeted at dealing with people who are mentally ill, severely stressed, or extremely and dangerously high. We're seeing these kinds of incidents more and more, and I think this will help all of us a lot to understand what's going on. The Comprehensive Plan Update Committee has met numerous times over the last month in particular to look at results from our survey, interpret them, and plan for the updates to be made to our current plan. We met with our planners, BFJ Planning, on Monday to review the results and see what they've done so far, as well as to make recommendations based on the challenges people have faced trying to fit into our current zone. The committee has done excellent work, and the camaraderie and intense examination of the old plan that took place here has led to some really thoughtful conversations about the town and its goals. One important thing became really evident as we read through the surveys. So many people are uninformed about what's actually going on. How do we communicate what's going on here without a newspaper of our own? That will be a topic of conversation as we go forward. I want to formally thank Scott Chase, Rory Chase, Wesley Chase, Michael Stabile, Tim Burlingoff, Matt Finley, and Alice Nuccio for all their hard work so far and that to come. Our planners recommended we put it into a policy that the town go through with this process every 10 years, which I hope we can do, as it's been really vital, I think, to the future of the town. The Solar Law Committee has been equally brilliant and dedicated, and we now have recommendations to give to Warren for his perusal and fashioning into a proper law. I want to thank John Hoffman, Drew Weaver, Kevin Walsh, Michael Stabile, Scott Chase, and Rory Chase for their hard work on that committee as well. It's been a real privilege to be at the table with all of these great minds. We closed on the purchase of Ruth Pulver's property last Friday. The next effort will go into cleaning it out, taking it down, and figuring out what we want to do with it. And it's budget season. I have budgets for almost all of the departments in, and I have begun work on a tentative budget. I'd like to remind people that there will be a public meeting around the fire department budget at some point in the next month or so, and to attend that meeting so that you understand where your taxes go. The county has told me to prepare for the elimination of our volunteer rescue squad to be replaced by paid ambulance service, which is a huge expense to the town. So keep that in mind when you go to the meeting, because either way, we're paying taxes, and we have to figure out how we want it to handle it. I think we have some options. And I plan to carefully collaborate on a shared service for this with other towns should it happen, and see what we can all do with that. But I also want to find a way to protect our own people who have served us really well, and to learn from the mistakes other towns have made when they rush to solve this issue. Town Cleanup Day is September 7th. So I really want to get the word out on that. We're going to be putting up posters and as much communication as we can do about that. A lot of people have been asking Vinnie at Recycling when it is, so I know that it's on people's minds. And finally, I would like to wish my husband Dave a happy 27th wedding anniversary. As part of my supervisor's statement, I decided to slip Mark Coviello, who's from Dutchess County Veteran Services, into the mix here. So, Mark, welcome to Pine Plain.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You have stuff to say to us?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. I appreciate it. Happy anniversary, by the way. It's fantastic. That is absolutely amazing. Town Board, I appreciate you guys having me here tonight. Not to seem eager to leave, my little brother just flew in from San Francisco. I promised to take him out for a New York sleigh, so I'm going to go pick him up when I get out of here. But I'm going around to every town board in Dutchess County just to introduce myself to you guys and to the constituents that attend your meetings to let you know who I am and what the County Division of Veteran Services does. The County Division of Veteran Services is different than the federal government's VA. A lot of time we're thought to be the same thing or the same office, and we're not. And I like to note the difference because a lot of times veterans, they don't go into the VA because it's so big, it's kind of intimidating sometimes for them to go in there. There's 1,000 people, and they don't really know where to start. My office is a county entity. It's just myself, and I have 4 staff members. So by the time you come in and you leave, you're gonna know everybody's first name. It's a much more welcoming office for them to come to. And what we do is we represent those veterans in obtaining the benefits that they earn from the VA. So if they're entitled to anything, our office and my veteran counselors are going to make sure that they are in receipt of it. Veterans don't receive benefits unless they apply for it. That's important to know. And you know what? Actually, I skipped over the beginning of it. I usually tell people a little bit about myself just so you guys have an idea who you're hearing from. I served in Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm a combat veteran in the U.S. Army, and I was an infantryman. I was a rifleman in Iraq, and a sniper and turret gunner in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, I was wounded in combat during my 2nd tour, but after I got out, I still wanted to be, with my service members. So I started working with for a nonprofit for veterans. I was elected to the county legislature, and I served as the vice chair for the Veterans Affairs Committee for 2 terms in the county legislature. and now I'm the Director of Division of Veteran Services. So I've been with veterans or service members and veterans for a better portion of a little over 10 years, and I care very deeply about them. So one of the reasons I wanted you guys to know a little bit about myself is so you can feel comfortable and friendly with me if you ever feel the need to contact me. If you have any veterans in your area that need any help, I want you to give me a call. If you'd like to write down my office number, it's 845-486-2060. And again, I actually give the town boards my cell phone number. I want to be as accessible as possible to you guys. If you're knocking on doors and you find a veteran with an issue that's really important, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, I don't care. You can call me right away. My cell phone number is 845-240-4381. Do you guys have any questions about veterans benefits?
Where is your office located?
It's,
Are you ever up here in this area?
So 85 Civic Center Plaza is where our office is. That's the Poughkeepsie Journal Building. It's right across the street from City Poughkeepsie Hall. We are open from 9 to 5. We don't come to Pine Plains, but if you ever have a veteran that, say, is a senior citizen or they're not ambulatory or they have issues getting to my office, I will work with public transit, maybe paratransit or whatever the case may be, or volunteer service to get them to my office. Or if need be, I have driven to people's homes just to meet with them. If there's no other way, I will do that. All right. On September 7th, you guys have a veterans liaison that was assigned to this town board, right?
Oh,
I believe I am.
it's gotta be.
You are? Okay, very
yeah.
good. So September 17th, sir, is the Veterans Liaison Conference. I'm sure that you were notified.
Have Miami's on.
I saw the agenda coming in, I'm like, we'll be after the session. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Department reports. So we'll start with Heather.
What happens out here when we do
Oh, we were talking about all kinds of things. That'll come up next month. So I just wanted to report on our road projects that we just completed. Our contractor actually completed the road resurfacing projects in just one day, which was much quicker than the estimate was presented to me with. So in doing that, we also would not have been able to do it with the help of other towns. So I would like to publicly thank the towns of Gallatin, Clinton, and Stamford for their help with our projects. They did each loan either 1 or 2 trucks to us for that one day. This is another fine example of shared services. With our project being just one day as opposed to 2, we did save about $4,000 in equipment rental costs from the contractor. So that was very good. Very pleased with the outcome. At the present time, the crew is continuing to shim the roads in preparation for next year's upcoming road projects, and I'm hoping to have an estimate of those projects sooner rather than later, as I did this year. I'll see if I can get that earlier. With regards to the highway materials bids, I have placed on the table, and I emailed you all out, I think, the beginning of this week, my recommendations with regards to the bids that were received for the highway materials for your acceptance or rejection. I am recommending the acceptance of the energy bids that we received from Valley Oil. However, I think that Dara wants to speak to that. We only did receive one bid for that, and the energy bids encompass fuel at the garage, heating oil, on-road diesel, no-lead gasoline, and the liquid propane we did not have any bids for this go around. I'll let Dara say what she wants
Well,
to say.
They had a glitch at Crown and couldn't get the bid in. So the liquid propane would perhaps be coming from them. And my suggestion was that perhaps we could do a rebid on all of this, because we only got one bid. And call this a failed bid and ask again.
It's fine with me.
Question, we always run around the service portion of a contract?
Not anymore,
Yeah.
we're doing our own now.
We're gonna do our own?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
That's
So that
okay.
wasn't included? in
No,
that?
no,
Okay.
no service contract with the bid pricing, just for the actual materials. We are due for, I believe, before we get into heating season, a,
Maintenance.
yes.
Yep.
So did you want to schedule that?
Yep.
And then just let me know.
Yeah,
make sure
we've got our
someone's there.
whole new calendar for maintenance
Okay.
of everything, so.
Good. I wanted to remember that before we got into heating season.
Great.
So, yeah, if you want to accept and reject, or reject whichever portions of those bids. We can send the letters out to the bidders and then rebid whatever needs to be rebid.
Are we gonna rebid the oil, did you say, Sarah?
I'd like to
Fuel.
suggest
It's
that we
fine.
rebid the
It's
oil
fine.
and gas
Whatever you wanna do is fine.
and approve the rest of the bids.
What was the nature of her glitch?
Can I tell you an executive session?
Yes, you can.
Okay. It was really understandable. You want, I can talk about it in public, I guess.
Yeah, we're all family here. Richard got the camera.
The guy that does that got into an accident, and so he was incapacitated and was unable to bring it over. So,
You know, just, you know, I know we were gonna have to rebid the propane anyhow, and they
Yeah.
were, you know, that would be theirs, whether or not it's gonna, I just can't, I'm not sure on Valley Energy did get the bid in, and
Mhm.
now it's,
Yeah.
now their bid is public. And so, you know, it's not really fair to them
okay, well,
as much. I don't know, again,
Yeah.
any thoughts about that? I mean, did the guy have the accident driving over here with the back on his lap or something like that?
no, it was, I believe, the night before everything was due, so he couldn't do anything.
I just feel badly about that. We're using Valley now.
No,
we
we're
haven't
using
used
Crown.
Valley in a couple
Okay,
of years.
but we used Valley last. the
2
previous
years
one?
ago.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
And,
And is that where we had the issue with the,
mhm.
With the service, which is why we,
not the service necessarily, but with the
oh no, that,
cold mix?
It was,
that was Crown.
That was correct.
But we did change our bid specifications, so that problem will never happen again.
Right, I know that we
Yeah.
corrected our end. What's the feeling?
So you're not concerned about the legality of rebidding, but rather
No,
the
we're,
propriety of
that
it?
should have been in the bid notice, that we have the right to accept or reject any.
It
Yes.
is.
So that's not it, it's just the, you know, just sort of,
Well, I hear what you're saying. You're saying, sure is nice to have more than one bid to look at, just so you know that
Right.
you're doing the right thing.
Well, I
For
guess
the
Is that a
taxpayers.
reasonable bid, Heather?
The ones that we received from Valley, what I usually look at is what their cents are over the Opus price. Last year, I did bring last year's, just so I can see, I believe that, because it goes by the Opus price, it's really the cents over that becomes the determining factor, so,
I thought it was 1.79 last year, but.
last year, actually, I don't know how they work their own prices, and I questioned this once before. Even though Valley Oil came in at 0.175 cents over the Albany Opus last year with their bids, their prices were less than, what Crown Energy, Crown Energy was less, using 18 cents over the Opus. What I
Remember
was
that discussion.
told was somehow they can acquire the product cheaper and therefore offer that discounted rate. Again, that's not I don't know anything about that. When I analyze it, I just look at the cents over Opus. They give us the price on the date that we suggest or we request, which is the Friday
Mhm.
before the bid opening, I think is what we specify. So, again, how they're figuring their numbers, I don't know. I'm just looking at the cents over Opus. And last year, Crown did put it in on time. They do supply us with all of the energy products, liquid propane, where Valley does not bid for propane. And I think last year, we wanted to keep it all with the same vendor. So, in terms of whether or not it's a valid price for right now, I would say yes, it's the cents over the rack price just as it's been in the past. And as we all know, the energy prices fluctuate on a daily basis. So the decision is definitely yours as to whether or not you want to keep them all together, if you want to split them. I know we had the issue in the past with the service being a problem from Valley, but we don't require service through our fuel supplier any longer, so
So who's gonna be doing the service now though? Like, you're,
that's up, I don't make that decision.
Yeah, I hire the person independently.
We don't have a contract.
We don't have
okay,
that.
Right.
no,
It actually saves us money. Because they still make us pay.
I think it would be nice to have a second bid just to look at. I
So,
know you've said it's
okay.
public, but I sort of doubt
that's gonna change.
they're watching or that it's
Sure.
gonna change, or, you know,
Well.
I hear what you're saying too.
Yeah.
Nice to have a look. Would Valley understand that we need to rebid for lack of bids? Is that a, do we have
That's the
to
way
offer
it
them a
is.
reason?
I know that it happened last year as well. I don't remember what, oh, it was regarding,
We didn't
The
have
winter
fuel
mix.
mix, yeah,
That's
we are
right.
the winter mix.
so we rejected them the initial go around last year. I can tell you, and I'm sure Judy knows this as well because they called her, this year, when the bid came out, they were very reluctant to bid because of the problems that they had last year with going through all the hassle of bidding and then being rejected, and I don't think they bid the second time, did they?
I don't remember, I'd have to look.
I don't think they did. I think at that point it was Crown that was the only one that bid for the second rebid.
I just don't want it to appear that we're trying to
Mhm.
show some favoritism to Crown. I would almost be reluctant to vote for, I would vote to accept Valley's, and then you've got to rebid the liquid propane.
Let's do that.
Yeah, we do
Let's
need,
do
we
that.
would need to
Right.
rebid the propane anyway, as I
Yeah,
put in
yeah,
our
no,
No, we have to
recommendations.
do it.
Yeah,
All right,
so
I move that we do that, that we
we
accept the
accept
one.
Valley Energy and,
rebid the,
yeah, we would accept all these,
All of my recommendations.
all of her recommendations.
Yes.
And then rebid for
and
the
then we would
propane
rebid
also.
the liquid propane.
And so who's?
I move that.
Sarah,
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Um, The only other thing that I'd like to report is I know that you said if you have all of your budget estimates in from department heads. Mine is a little bit more complex, so I am working on it.
That's okay.
And as soon as I get it, I will get it over to you. I know that you want to get on it. I want to get it done, believe me, so I'm working on it. But that's about all I have to report. We've just been busy trying to get the roads ready for next year so that we can do, and the reason why we do that is it's so we can get those roads sealed early in the year rather than waiting till the end where we run into delays or rain or anything like that. It worked out very well this year with that cycle, and I'd like to keep on the same cycle. Oh, anybody have anything for me?
Thanks, Heather.
Although the roads do look very good.
Thank you.
Well, you know what, maybe I'll do this in a public setting as well. We've received a lot of questions, or the crew has, with regards to, why are you just putting a black patch here and not there? While I would love to go around the whole entire town and blacktop everything and then seal it, it's not cost effective. So what we are doing is we are putting blacktop down in areas to level the roadway, or to take wheel ruts out, areas that are in severe distress, so that it is ready for that oil and stone coating next year. And after we do that, you never know what's underneath the surface. So if anybody asks you, that's what we're doing, but thank you for that.
Well, Drew's not here, so there must be no,
You all
Well,
have
we
the
got this-
report.
we got the report.
Yeah.
Notified by it by the county executive's office. Just so you know, I put that together for the veteran liaisons like yourself. I have one in each town board for the whole county. And the purpose of that is that I see a lot of veterans at the VFWs and the American Legions and the different veteran-oriented events that I go to. But a lot of times veterans will get out of the service and they don't participate in those things. And that's okay. A lot of times you can see Vietnam veterans that fit that script because of the way they were treated when they got out. And unfortunately, they kind of shed their veteran identity, so they don't participate. And the reason I say that is because you, as a town board member, are very well aware of your constituents, you know your neighbors, and you know the people in your town. I know that because when I was a county legislator, we did. So you have outreach into a community that I won't necessarily have contact with. So if you're knocking on doors, if you see your neighbors and you know they're veterans and they need anything, I want you to be able to relay those messages to me. And then again, you have my cell phone number, you can contact me anytime. The September 17th veteran liaison conference is for you and your other veteran liaisons to learn more about a general overview of benefits. That's what you're gonna get there. There's also gonna be a ton of veteran service organizations there. It's just to give you some literature and explain what they do for veterans. The county executive and a lot of other government officials will be there, and a lot of veterans will be there. So it's an opportunity for veterans to communicate with you guys, the government officials, what they need, and for you to learn so you can disseminate that information down to the most local level. All right?
Are the services primarily medical services or psychiatric services or?
So the VA offers a whole wide array of services, whether they're psychiatric or whether it's medical. They are. There's also a benefits association. You have the Veterans Benefits Administration, and you have the Veterans Health Administration. There are two components of the VA. The Veterans Health Administration is the hospital portion of it. All right, they're going to give you the psychiatric, they're going to give you the medical. I can get veterans enrolled in healthcare if they're eligible, and I can assess them for their eligibility. On the other end of it is the Veterans Benefits Administration. If they have benefits such as disability compensation, if they were wounded in combat and say now they have issues with their knee, that's a disability that they're going to deal with for the rest of their life. They're entitled to disability compensation. So that's a monthly entitlement paid to a disabled veteran. So we can get them help from both ends of that, the VHA and the VBA.
So it's all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff. Really what I'm here to tell you is, this is me. If you have a veteran with an issue, you call me. Whatever it is, it will be taken care of. All right? And again, you're going to learn some in-depth information on veterans benefits, and that's the point and purpose of the veteran liaison. So you can disseminate that stuff down to the most local level. All right? But I'm here to, if you have any more questions, I will go in depth on benefits though, if you want to. Do you have any more questions on benefits specifically?
I just feel that I don't have a full
Oh,
sense
sure.
of what they are.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're doing sounds really terrific.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Okay.
It's a book about
Huge
this thing.
book.
Oh yeah, I have textbooks. I still read. I read every day in my office about veterans benefits. It's very intricate.
What
But-
time is your thing on the 17th?
And anyway, everyone's invited, by the way. It's at 6:30 in the county legislature, 6th floor, Dutchess County building. Do you guys have any questions for me at all? Any relatives that are any veterans in the room?
Do you do Korean War?
Always. I love
I've
it.
forgotten war, that's why I was asking.
I love my Korean War. I was in the 10th Mountain Division, and my brigade was named after the Chosen Reservoir. We were the Chosen Brigade. Yeah, so I have a kinship to the Korean War veteran, and I very much appreciate their service amongst all veterans. But again, I come from the 10th Mountain. We have a strong history with Korea. All right, guys. Thank you again so much
Thank
for
you.
the
Thanks for
opportunity.
coming.
to come.
Glad you came.
Thank you. I don't, Tommy. I don't. I'm sorry, but I could absolutely email you guys more information if need be. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Right, Joe?
All right, it's time for public comment. There aren't very many public here. All right, moving on.
No, don't move on. I just want to mention, I was approached by a local resident with a complaint about the laundromat. And it says there are a number of people that had complaints about the laundromat. And I told him that the town board really had nothing to do with that, but that he could come tonight, or I would at least raise it as something that had been mentioned to me. And the machines don't work, and they take the money, and they don't. There's nowhere to, you can write a message, but there's nowhere to call. You can write a message, and then no one gets back to you, is what I was informed of.
We can certainly make that, share that news with the people who run that. Maybe just write a letter or something. Let them know that we heard about it. Anything else? Okay.
Wait.
Oh,
The town hall still has spaces available for our trip next Wednesday to go to Saratoga. anyone's interested. You can spend a day at Broadway, go to the casino or the racetrack. Free to residents 55 and above, $20 a head, 55 and under, or out of towners. Let me know, get you signed up.
All right, thanks,
Pushing
Ally.
those trips.
Great. Resolutions and amendments are next. So we have to pass two resolutions and a budget amendment. And Warren rewrote our resolution from the planning committee, just which is just more extensive and involves also the wait a second, the environmental aspect of the
Secret.
EAF, right. So what this is it declares the town board as the lead agency.
Whereby we're able to make a positive or negative
Correct.
declaration.
Adopting part one of the full environmental assessment form in accordance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act for the comprehensive plan revision.
We had one.
It's the new one. You should have had, it's in your box, that's why you don't have it.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I'll
yeah.
see what she does.
I'll- Want me to read it?
Lauren, do we have to make a determination of what type of
Well,
action
the
it is?
question I had is, I saw the part one of the EAF, but do we have actually a draft comprehensive
Yeah.
plan revision? Oh, 'cause I haven't seen that.
No, you haven't seen it because we're still working on it. But we
Okay.
have like maybe a very early draft of it.
Okay,
We were working
are
on
we
that.
ready to set it down for public hearing?
No, not until the end of September.
Oh, okay, so you think you'll have it by then?
Yes.
Okay,
We're on target.
okay. All right, so I drafted it under the assumption that we did have the revision, but we do have the part one of the EAF. We can schedule a public hearing, and hopefully we'll have it.
Yeah.
prior
And I
to-
have the public hearing resolution here.
No, I put that into the new resolution
It's in
has
there?
everything,
Okay.
yeah,
All right, so all these things are in one document.
in one document.
Great.
right.
Yeah, this one can go.
And basically, it declares the town, just refers to section 272A of the town law, which is the comprehensive plan provision, and indicates that that we've completed a draft of the comprehensive plan. I didn't know, hopefully we'll have it by well before the public hearing. And the part one of the environmental assessment form. And that we are declaring ourselves lead agency for the environmental review because there are no other involved agency. And it is a type 1 action under seeker. And so we schedule a public hearing for September 25th, 2019. And we do have to refer this to the planning board for its review and comment, and to Dutchess County Planning. But with the part one of the EAF for Dutchess County Planning, and we do need a comprehensive plan to send it down to them, so it has to be sent down in sufficient time so they can comment.
Yeah. We're gonna have that draft very soon, beginning of September, I think is what we decided. We're just taking notes.
Just a little, like a little,
September.
yeah, but we're having the public hearing on September 25th.
Yeah.
Same, not enough time for the
I
planning
mean,
board.
is that enough time for the public and the planning board and Dutchess County
Remember that
Planning
these are
to review?
updates, though. It's not, we're not having, like, we didn't rewrite the whole thing.
Right, no, I don't know how long it is, I'm just saying that it's kind of a tight,
This is just the turnaround of the county.
the county
I
usually,
don't, I think it's too short.
Yeah.
Well,
County
they seem
usually
to think
takes-
this is a recommendation from our planner, so he seemed to think it was possible, but maybe he doesn't know Dutchess.
well, we can set it for the 25th, it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen, we can amend it
Right.
and change the public hearing. But don't publish this until we,
When is the
we
next
won't put a
town board?
notice in the paper or anything like that until.
When is the September
The
planning,
adoption
town board
of
meeting?
that would not require DOJ's presence.
Yeah, what's our September town board meeting?
The 19th.
The 19th. Yeah, you're not gonna have, between the 19th, I mean, it's not enough time.
That's my understanding, is the public hearing on
So the public hearing would be the 25th, and then we wouldn't be voting on whether or not we wanted to go up or down on the 25th with these.
I would imagine you might have more than one public hearing. Usually we have more than one public. I don't know how extensive the comprehensive plan revisions are. I haven't seen
They're
them.
not extensive,
Yeah.
and they seem to think that we would be able to take the comments that night of the
Right.
25th and make changes only as regards any comments we got.
But it's just, the question is it enough time for county planning and the planning board to review? Maybe we're better off adopting everything at the next September meeting when we have it in hand, and then setting the public hearing for October.
Fairly busy.
Yeah. 4 new building permits, there are 29 to date, 2 new homes to date, 5 certificates of occupancy issued, 5 searched, and 17 inspections performed. The assessors are not here, they didn't have anything, so I thought I would move up John Hoffman on the CAC, so he can get going.
Okay, in moving me up, I do also have to ask, do you need me here for the solar law discussion under new business?
No, it's just quick information for everybody.
Okay, so last Thursday, we had 2 potential new members attend the CAC meeting, Pat Byron and Suzanne Wimet. I would recommend that the town board accept both of them and appoint them to the CAC.
How do you spell Suzanne's last?
It's Willette,
Oh, okay.
Ouellette.
Yes. She was a member in the past, and
Yeah.
she'd like to come back.
I've got notes here, leave it out.
Yes. Would you like to do that during executive session? Or have any questions for me?
So it's Suzanne Willette and
Pat Byron?
Pat Byron.
Right.
I could make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, John.
Thank
Pat
you.
is very interested in recycling. and you
Right,
already did
yes,
that.
I've talked to her,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She's got a really great email.
What is it?
It's like
Lady Byron. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because everyone here is Brian. Pat Bryan, so she
Yeah.
figured Lady Byron people would understand. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, John. John? Police Department.
We had 5 hours of court, 187 patrol, 14 of admin, 2 hours of investigation, 40 hours of training, vehicle/other, 3 hours. Handled 13 complaints, 2 fire and EMS, 67 traffic warnings, 25 traffic tickets issued. The last line where it reads, 2 arrests should be 1 arrest with 2 charges. So disregard that. Probably we should talk a little bit about the letter that was just handed to me with all these dates on it. What's gonna be the board's recommendation or feeling on the traffic control for all of these?
Do you think the light metering won't be enough to see people
Well,
getting
I'm
through
just,
safely?
I'm just thinking, especially with the first one,
300 people. and
300
already-
people, everybody's not gonna know where to park, or I think it's gonna be a little confusing, at least the first one. But he's got quite a few dates down here in September.
Those
So-
are smaller concerts.
They're
Those won't-
smaller,
yeah.
but that's what I mean. What's your feeling? Should I have 2, 3 cars?
Certainly for the first event.
For the first one, definitely.
I think for the first 2.
For the first 2, because those are the big ones.
Those are big.
Well, do you want cars out there, or do you mean guys in the street
Yeah,
directing traffic?
I mean, when I say cars, I mean 3
Bodies
officers
out there,
on,
right, okay.
4 officers on.
Well, what's your recommendation? What do you think?
Well, I think it's the same, definitely the first one, it's free food, free drink. Everybody's gonna come out, probably
Yeah.
more than 300 if people start hearing about that. And then the second one, he's already got a given number.
Yeah,
He's got on here 275.
75, right.
So, and then see how it goes after that.
think
I mean,
that-
if this
I mean,
starts to be a
The free
month.
one, you do have to sign up for the free one, because they are trying to limit the number. It's gonna be 500, because you really need a reservation. People have made reservations.
But I mean, as different venues start coming to this,
Yeah,
we're probably gonna have to, you know, just like the Rhinebeck Police Department has to budget the fair, or different events at the fairgrounds. We'll probably have to take that into account,
Well,
depending on how successful it is.
How many vehicles do we expect, how many can fit in their parking area, and so what do you expect?
I don't know if
to
they're
end up
gonna be
in
using the
municipal
Stissing
parking?
House area too.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big parking lot.
yeah. We could
Yeah,
fit
but they're
150,
probably
200
open
cars,
on that night.
plus
So
the
Sissing-
garden's open, which will, right?
See, I'm just afraid of 199,
Yeah.
people saying, let's park here, and that being a little
Yeah.
hallway trying to go through
Yeah.
there.
Only we could put them in the church lot.
That would be ideal.
Sure would.
Wouldn't it?
Somebody would have to contact the Catholic Archdiocese and see if they wanna,
Maybe that'd be a nice way to break ice with them if they get back on such a simple favor. No.
I mean, they can park in the town parking, there's gonna be plenty of room there, they gotta walk a little bit.
Well, they should be parking in the municipal parking lot, definitely.
Yeah.
But even that's not that
That's
big.
not that big.
Yeah.
no, well, what about Peck's parking lot?
That's.
The old Peck.
That's, no, the
New
current.
Yeah, the old Pex, he's got all roped off, he
I
doesn't
know,
want anybody
I mean, you may
there.
not like it, but that's certainly a place where people
It's
would
private
be
People
property,
likely.
What
Road-
time is the,
but it's
In
private
the
property.
evening.
And it isn't just the parking, you know, if all these
He
people
may
in
be
there, they're
closed.
safe serving alcohol, when people start leaving,
Yeah.
you know, backing into one another and whatnot, they backing each other at Stewart's and they're sober.
So you might direct people for even on-street
know
parking
that. Now
down,
they
down
can
towards
be
the
in there getting
library.
their beer.
They're in there for all that time, they're not gonna be sipping cider.
South Main Street is a decent place to park. Is that okay with you guys? There's cars on
I
South
almost assume that it's
Main?
already been addressed.
Yeah, that's, they can park quite a few there.
So I bet you'll run out of space in the municipal lot
If
too.
we're going to have to.
But
So
you-
this is just something that we ought to get ready for, maybe with
There should be
signage
something
and whatnot,
coming back. I
you
would
know,
say
so
the first
people
one should be gratis, but
know
after
where to
that,
park.
Yeah, it's a
they
good
should
one.
be contributing.
Well, I guess I think that we should give you all the people you need.
Right.
And especially for the first two, and as he
Yeah,
said,
right.
assess how
I'm
they.
probably
Well,
only gonna
I-
have on a Saturday night, Steve, me, maybe Mike Bellevue, cause Gary's working his full-time job. Mike Lawson's usually on Saturday, so maybe we can have 3, 4.
But this has gotta be, I had assumed that this had already been addressed. And if
Yeah.
we're having to put special officers on for their events, this has gotta be.
I understand that if it's, I think Dara told me that if it's a
No,
fundraiser, we're obligated to supply officers, but if it's,
I don't understand that,
well, like, I think one of those, the second one's like a fundraiser for the
right.
building itself. But if they're having venue where they're making money on it, then we should be paid by them or.
Yeah,
That's where I'm
Exactly.
going, yeah.
Exactly.
And
I
but
think so.
They have to be part of this discussion.
Yeah, there's no
we're
sense in
assuming.
the town inheriting the cost for their profit.
No,
Now, they had told me that they were handling that, so I didn't even think about it.
they said that they were handling the
Yeah.
traffic control?
Yeah.
For this,
Sounds like a workshop.
interesting. Maybe they are handling it then.
Like I say, we'll have to wait and see.
Do they have a
Okay, well, I
contact
can-
info in there for?
Ryan Coons called me about a month and a half ago and he said they were gonna have some kind of meeting, but I have yet to be invited
Okay.
to, this is the first time I've seen
What
it.
about the old BP too? Is it Moisha
Well,
that
that's-
owns that?
No, it's still Warex.
It is.
But I mean, that was my idea where the overflow is, but most people won't walk that
I
far.
think we should still try for it. Yeah.
I mean, they allowed it at other times.
Warex.
Yes.
Warex has, you know, for other ventures.
And you know how to get in touch with them?
Well, we can
It's,
find out.
I'm
We can
sure
well,
figure it
it
out.
That'd be
actually,
nice. That's
it's
pretty
gone,
close. That's-
Warex doesn't own it anymore, the DEC does, I believe. I think the state owns it. That's what Moish said.
No, well, unless something's changed, what happened is the DEC has a major lien against it.
Mhm.
And
they-
but Warex is still the owner of record.
They just can't sell it.
Yeah,
Oh.
they can't sell until
Too
they're
costly,
satisfied
would
with
be
the
way
lead.
too costly to sell.
All right.
I mean, the management really should be looking at this, it shouldn't really be
Right.
our
Right.
problem.
But thank you for thinking about it.
It's all part of our, it is our collective problem, but not the town's problem.
Well,
I
we
mean,
should think
it's
about.
bringing, it's gonna bring
Growing
business
town,
into
yeah.
the town,
Yeah.
so we wanna accommodate it.
Okay. Well, I think that we should get in touch with Sissing Center right away and say, what's your plan?
What's your plan?
We
Yeah,
need
I
to
agree.
know,
I
and then maybe we should come up with our plan to give to them to
agree. Or
have.
at least make them aware of what they can expect in the future.
Okay,
But I think it's fine for us to help out for the first two events.
yeah,
Mhm.
we're all figuring this out.
This goes back a little bit to what I had said before, you know, who's leading whom in this whole situation.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Reminds me of the things these days.
It's a paradigm shift, John, it is amazing,
Yeah.
crazy.
It is gonna be. Ray is on vacation, so we have his water report. Mike Cooper is away. It's a work-related matter, is all I know, and I don't have any report from him. I have a letter from the Little Nine Partners that I just wanted to read. It's very short. On behalf of Little Nine Partners Historical Society, I'm pleased to notify you by means of this letter that the society supports a commemoration by the town of Pine Plains bicentennial in 2023, and that we would like to offer our services to assist the town committee in planning the historical activities to mark this important milestone. So I actually think that this fall at some point we should probably create that committee and get that going, because it's gonna take 3 years to put it together.
We gotta bring the carnival back for this one,
Yeah.
big one.
So already,
More reasons to talk about it.
so maybe I'll just put that on an agenda in September or October. I didn't have any old business. Well,
It has a logic to it.
Getting back to seeker, since we did declare it, or we will declare it a type 1 action, you still have that 30-day wait even though you feel that there's no one out there who's an involved agency? or an
Oh, no,
agency?
we don't have to solicit. Since we're the only involved agency, we just declare ourselves lead agency for
Right.
seeker purposes. We don't have to solicit so, that's not a problem. We're gonna do an uncoordinated review. We're not-
But it has to go down to county planning.
But it does have to go, and
Right,
county
yes.
And
planning does have to have.
They may well have comments.
And they have to have, I think they will have comments.
I think they will too.
And I think, they always have comments on the
On this
comprehensive
kind
plan
of thing,
review,
maybe, yes. Are you, Dara?
And they're gonna want the part
County
one of the
planning is
EAF.
very likely to have comments.
I'm just saying that we're not talking about a huge revision.
Doesn't matter.
It
So-
doesn't matter, it's a
Okay.
question of the
And
process.
there's no reason to rush.
And I don't think there's any reason to rush. I think it's good to have the public weigh in and have a full feeling of what, people are thinking about.
I think that makes sense too, it just, bear in mind only that we would, every time we have one of these meetings, the planners are like, they go over the timeline with this, and they're like, on this date, you'll be doing this. But I agree with you guys, I don't see why we need to compel that to happen. The planners don't need to come up for us to be slightly more deliberative, it's not gonna cost us more money on that end, I don't think.
I'm not quite sure what you're saying, because they're coming up for the public hearing.
So,
So,
they will be there then, you're
oh
saying,
yeah,
for
in
that public
September.
hearing? Okay,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. That's,
Well,
they're here for that.
So, again, I don't know what their schedule is, but they've been clear about the timeline, just so you guys all know, in their communication of it to the committee. I don't know how we could find out what the turnaround on the county's,
They ask-
comments would be.
They ask for 30 days.
Okay.
They usually want a 30-day time turnaround.
You know, you can ask them to speed it up, and sometimes they will, but it depends.
And theoretically, we need time to include those comments into the draft that we're working on, as well as further comments from
Yeah, their
the planning
comments have to
board.
be addressed.
Right.
Yeah. Well, So we.
Doesn't leave much time to
Right, but the
amend.
committee agreed to this, so now what we have to do is figure out whether we wanna keep it set the way it is, and then if we feel like planning needs more time, people need more time, I can bring that up with the planners and tell them that the board suggested more time.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know why, could the public hearing not just present the draft as it is and say that the county might have comments pending?
No, you can't have, you have to have.
You have to have it all.
It's, according to statute, it has to be available at least 10 days, I think, before, and it has to be available at the library. I mean, there are specific requirements under section 274 of the town law.
Yeah,
I
they're
just
all
don't
on
think we
top
could-
of that. I mean, our planners,
I know, but we don't have the document.
Yeah.
right, but
That's the
we
problem.
will have it within like about a week, right?
I'm not sure.
They were gonna take the comments that we just gave them,
Okay.
and that was for the zoning suggestions.
Yeah, I guess we'll want to, the committee will want to also
Yeah,
review that. So I do see that the 25th, I guess.
all right, well, I can
I
I
bring it
mean,
up.
I'm
with them.
okay, you know, whatever you want, I just think it's unnecessarily tight. I mean, you're putting up, I'm not sure why we would.
We've been marching like a
Why-
tight
why-
unit down
Yeah,
this
we've been really working.
planning highway. But
Okay.
why don't we reach out to BFJ and?
I mean, pass it tonight and set it down for the 25th.
Okay,
But I think I'd want to see a copy of that comprehensive plan at least by next week.
all right, I'll say that to them, and then,
Yeah.
see what they say, and whether we can
Right.
set it back.
We'll certainly avoid advertising the date of the.
You can't
25th,
advertise
right?
until you have the
Okay,
plan.
just to be
Yeah.
Because once you put it in the paper, you're saying that it's available
here.
to the public. It was not available to the public. It doesn't work.
I have to have it in the paper, it says there 10 days before
Yeah.
the public hearing.
It's gotta be 10 calendar days, but right.
All right, so could we have a motion on this, or?
So we are gonna try to schedule.
Yeah, we'll try to schedule it, and then if it doesn't work, we'll set it back. And I'll talk to them, tomorrow.
BFJ.
Yeah, I'll talk, yeah, just say, tell them what everybody said.
Are you guys comfortable? I mean, I'll make the motion,
I haven't seen
Okay.
the resolution yet,
Sorry.
but what am I,
It's essentially,
I mean, I haven't seen the document either.
sure,
You're asking
it just
me to
puts
say-
you and I and Sarah and Matt and Tara as lead agency to say yes or no, this has a positive or negative environmental impact regarding seeker, right?
Yeah,
Essentially.
well, I mean, that's part of it. I'm assuming that you're not, it will be a negative
Correct.
seeker
Yeah.
determination. It's unlikely you'll pos decet. So I'm not concerned about that. I'm just concerned that everybody has enough time to review the comprehensive plan and we meet the statutory requirements
Sure.
before September 25th. But if they can't get it to us within a week, I think we might have to
Okay.
reconsider.
Makes sense. There is that date in there, Don, which is
Well,
confounding.
you know, I'm just wondering if I feel that I should have seen this before I voted on this.
Sure. Okay.
But the way it's worded, I really don't have.
It's quite similar to the one that they wrote, but it's more involved because it has CEAF and the public hearing all together.
I can go with this.
Okay,
I don't like, I just, as I say, I don't like the rush. But,
and I will say that to the planner, and then just see what.
it's saying that we will conduct, and that's fine with me.
Okay. All right,
I move that we declare the town board lead agency, or we vote on this resolution here. We have to vote.
second?
And that's contingent on our having the, necessary time for the publication, and the hearing.
All right,
Yep, and hopefully time for we all to look at it and think about it too.
Yeah.
Next week we all have time, and the county should already know.
It is tight to then make amendments to it prior to the public hearing.
And Gary, there's a place for you to sign the part one.
Right, I saw that, so I'll get that to them after this, okay. Second on that?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's a resolution, so you don't have a roll call vote.
Yep. Supervisor Cloud,
Aye.
Bartle,
Aye.
Chase,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Pick,
Aye.
resolution passed 5-0.
All right. The second thing is a budget amendment. This is so we can use the sponsorship money that we received for the camp. This is not banner money, this is different. As an expense, because Jen needs to be able to spend it for the buses.
Is this the sponsor from Town Meeting?
Yes, yeah, it's the Hammertown money. And this year, what Joan does is she holds a sale in the spring, and then people go early, and they pay $40 to shop early, and that money all goes to the camp as a sponsorship.
I make a motion, we transfer the funds.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Warren, do you wanna, I had you down for talking about a few things, and I know you're,
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first thing is the historic building demolition law, and so you talked about wanting to do something for Pine Plains, which I think is a good idea. So I've given you, just for everybody to look at, the historic buildings section of the Town of Rhinebeck Code, which it talks in terms of an inventory of historic buildings and then having to go before the planning board to get a approval if your building is gonna be demolished, if it's on the list of historic buildings for the town. This is pretty much what most municipalities have who have this type of law. It's very similar to a lot of other laws, so you might wanna take a look at that. I think it's a good idea, and you might wanna, Conservation Advisory Council might wanna take a look at it. The other law that I gave you is what we are considering passing in Rhinebeck, which is a historic buildings and our archaeological advisory committee. And this is just the creation of a committee that's gonna be available for advising the planning board when a project comes before it that involves the exterior change to an historic building, or which involves disturbance of potential archaeological resources.
Both of which, the historic building would be one that is on the National Historic Registry.
Well, it can be. The town can have its own inventory of historic buildings. It doesn't have to be on the National Register. It could be eligible for the National Register, or it could be something of local significance. For one reason, there are criteria here for establishing it. So it would be more a lengthier list than just buildings that are on the National Register. And you'd have to have a committee that would do that and then identify it, and then the board would vote on having that inventory, and then you would update it from time to time.
I was just gonna say, haven't we had that committee?
We
Is that
had,
what Scott was talking about?
we have the Historical Society.
Right, but this was his work. The new business. I think I sent you all by email the solar law recommendations that the committee made. I didn't know if anybody had had a chance to look at them.
Extensively.
If you didn't, would you, and give me any thoughts? I think we're done for the moment.
It might
And-
take some explaining, expect
Yeah,
to be
if you
wanted
have
to be explained to
questions.
you, but it's a little confusing at first.
us know, and we want to hand them to Warren for the next phase of his look at it,
Just that setback issue that's at the end,
which is the 10,
10 and 40, which we thought was protecting us
right,
on some trails, but maybe that.
right. But I have that as a note to Warren, okay. The roof Culver House, okay. So, the inside is real mess. I had been told that it was cleaned out of her personal things, that there would be furniture left over. That's not the truth. It looks like people left after a tornado or something. There is this wonderful group called Buy Nothing that your wife started, where if people have something to give away, they connect with somebody and then they give it away. There are probably, what, a dozen dressers in there, a couple of tables, not a lot else. I think the food is all gone. There's an oven, 2 ovens? There were 2 kitchens.
There were 2 kitchens. I don't know if there were 2 ovens.
A
Some
refrigerator.
notepad, some things.
There are some things. On the outside, there's a chimney, like a wood stove chimney that looks in very good shape. So I'm wondering what you want to do with all that stuff and how you perceive us. I can hire a junk remover, but I did think that for Buy Local, we could maybe put out some of the items and see who'd like to come and take them. It would require people being in the house and getting it, because there's 2 floors. The roof line's very short. There are staircases. We have to, I think we have to clean it out or to.
Why?
Well, I think that not using that furniture would kind of too bad.
Yeah.
There's some
yeah,
useful
but,
things in there.
I mean, you're not gonna be letting the public run up and down the stairs carrying furniture out.
Well, that's my question, because
Unless
I can't do it.
Unless a
Bob
highway
Lee
does it.
can't do it.
No, it would have to be our employees
Yeah.
or somebody with liability insurance.
Okay.
Because I can't see, I totally agree with you, it'd be nice, especially me, to see repurposing
Yeah.
of any of that stuff in there, but I just don't see how he can do it. Warren, if he were sitting here right now, would be cringing.
Right,
You
all
know,
right.
we give it to a contractor, but if you can come up with a way that we can move it out onto the street for a special day and say, help yourself, or I don't know, it's
Could
your
I help?
organization.
I was gonna say, could I help Bobby Lee do it?
He
No,
can't
it's
do
bigger than that.
anything.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah, it's.
Could Rory and I move it?
Well,
I have liability
Good
insurance through my business.
Well, then we would have to contract with your business,
No,
and
I
you would
mean,
have to name the.
We would do it for free.
Well, no, I mean, you still would have to present a liability.
Okay.
But I don't know, I just feel very,
At the time of demo, could it be done very simply,
well, you could make it a condition of the demo.
just to pull out
I mean,
those
whoever you
12
hire, you
objects?
say, pull this stuff out.
They've got their
I mean, you're just
excavator and
gonna-
they just
He's gonna pay a lot, you're gonna
lash
pay a
it.
lot more for it.
I just,
Oh,
Wouldn't
sure.
have it so
yeah,
quick?
that,
Because this stuff is gonna go in dumpsters as fast as possible. And,
These are objects that people will want, these are antique
Yeah,
objects?
no, there's
Can
no
I
antique.
interject?
Please.
May I interject?
Yes.
It's not as simple as going into a house that has clean pathways to get to furniture. You have to empty drawers of furniture, you have to empty debris, you have to clear space to be able to walk down these very narrow stairs and move furniture. It's not a one-day process. It's been a very neglected house with a lot of, not hoarder mentality, because it's not as bad as a hoard.
no.
But it is, it's,
So put it all in the
there aren't so
dumpster.
many treasures. You know,
That's what you're
thinking it
gonna
over,
end up
I'm not
with.
so
Sorry.
sure.
There's
You're
no
not so
treasures?
sure.
Yeah, that there are not
No
very
treasures.
many treasures.
Then
Not
just-
really, not really.
But there are some useful items.
There are some useful
There
items,
are a
but
few
it will
dressers people could use.
take, it will take a good 2 to 4 man team to clear enough space to get this stuff outside.
Doesn't sound like it's worth it.
I don't think so.
Sarah, to get married. Oh, boy. I'll help pull some things out of there.
I mean, if we were
that's
allowed
what you
to
really
try to
wanna
do it, I would, but if it's a liability issue, I
I'm
don't
not
know,
sure
I
you're
would go
covered.
in.
Really?
I'm not sure you're covered under.
As a
You're,
official of the
I
town,
don't know,
an official
I don't know
duty?
that, the answer to that.
Well, I can find the answer. I mean, I'm
But I
just
mean,
calling
if you-
Paul.
Yeah, that's what I mean, go ahead, that would be fine, but this, the organization that your wife is starting.
It's a buy nothing group, so they just put it
Okay,
up, whoever can use it, uses it, like, and if
But
you
they-
have something, you give
Like,
something,
Mom,
if you
Mom,
need
Mom,
something.
Mom,
We got
Mom,
time.
Mom,
Snap some
No,
pictures
it's,
of a few items,
the,
the ones that you think have
my wife
value.
buy nothing.
Al can snap
So it's
photos,
pretty
or
much
Matt
no
wants to do
money's
this, or Amanda
exchanged.
Baker wants to take pictures, and someone
You're an
says,
attorney,
yeah, we
but
want
you're-
it, within a 10-day period.
You don't wanna know.
We could facilitate.
That
fetching
might,
those,
you know, don't
Well,
ask,
that's the
go tell,
question,
is
is like,
basically.
who's gonna get it out? Cause I can find people who want stuff.
I mean, we could
That
give it
want
to the
it?
thrift.
That do want it, you think so?
Yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
I've been
then
talking.
maybe it's worth the effort.
I think we could just put it on Buy Local, a couple of pictures.
You talk to the people, me and like.
The insurance people?
Okay.
Couldn't we just leave the doors unlocked and be like, yep, we're
Loot
going
away,
away for a
loot away.
long weekend.
It's so disgusting, you have to wear a mask.
Yeah, maybe we should look through it again and be more critical.
Okay, no, well,
No, really, seriously, because you can get overwhelmed very quickly saying, oh my God, there's too much stuff. There's too much stuff to get through to get a piece of furniture out.
yeah.
So it would need to be very functional or,
I was
and,
told
or
someone
worthy
was
from an
having
antiques
their
point of view
antiques.
probably, but if it's,
Well,
You know,
if it's upholstered
they were
furniture that
selling
needs heavy cleaning, no go.
We could hire somebody to come in and do that, and there might be organizations that will do that, I don't know.
Well, I know that there's the people next door to me just got a company called Junk Be Gone to come and literally remove everything, and, that seems like an expensive thing too, when we could give away a bunch of dressers and tables and then just with the, whatever the demolition crew is.
Couldn't we theoretically also ask our insurers if what it would cost to have insurance to go in there and take things out, like if we were to invite people that wanted it in there?
Yeah,
I
but
would
the
not
way that it
recommend that.
sounds,
I
you
would
don't
not
want.
The insurance
recommend
company
having
wouldn't know.
public
You
in
don't
there.
think so?
I really
No, I
don't.
don't
got
see
some
it.
old
I-
age
I-
cancer.
I don't really want the public in there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they'll be
But they're in and out, they're not gonna be living
Yeah,
in there.
exactly.
Yeah, but
What do you want me to go in there? Me and Zach gotta go in there?
Yeah.
Choke it
You were the
down?
ones who offered you.
I didn't offer anything, this guy did.
Take a dumpster
There's
and
cancer.
excavate
You have to wear a
it.
mask.
Hey, what's
Mr.
this
I got
out?
it.
Dougie Weaver up there with his excavator, you have all the room in the world.
They'll gently pick all these pieces out.
If the insurance company
Put a
says,
big
yeah,
hole
give
in
us
the wall and you
$10
can throw 'em out.
Send people in. I would let them.
Ask the
grab
guy
their
in
stuff.
Stanford though, down at Elton, see what he says.
Yeah.
Right, ask, maybe get
Or the
Post on
antique
first one to
place.
call,
Maybe
first,
you'll take
first
the
come,
stuff.
first
the
served.
guy at Elton's down at
Your
Stanford.
post, your
Tim
web.
Beam.
Timmy Beam, I know Timmy Beam, I can ask him if he wants to do
Or the
something.
guy at the Bones Bar.
What about DR miscellaneous?
It's not there, no, it's not there.
You seen the guy in town?
Okay, we'll get working on it.
Working on it.
Okay.
Miscellaneous.
Quickly, the DEC has applied for a permit, or,
The DEC applies.
yeah,
Twilight,
they,
or no?
oh, no, I see, they didn't apply. The Nature Conservancy applied to the DEC for a permit to fix the Thompson Pond trails, and it was approved. It's complete, and so this is all pending. And, they just wanted me to let you know that this is happening.
Do we share correspondence with Native Conservancy?
All I did was get a copy of this, so I haven't ever written to them or heard from them personally.
I would say we send this back to CAC and ask John to send a letter and respond, or just, I'd keep it, I think it's great that they sent that. I'm so
Right.
excited for the town to be updated on
Yeah.
what they're doing.
I'm sure when you apply for a permit, you have to notify.
Just notify the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few areas of Congress that could happen between the Conservancy and the town and Fossil, maybe in the coming few years. It's just good to be in touch.
All right. The other things, I don't have to, I basically think we're done, except I'd like to go into executive session and talk about.
I just have one thing I want to raise. I have always considered this picture a piece of art. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm troubled by having something on its edge.
Totally.
And I'm wondering if we can't mount that in some different
I'm
fashion.
sure we can. I think Sean was just trying to get it up there quickly.
Because it's like,
Should we try to run it above the panels for now?
I don't know. I don't know how this was actually come about. I don't know how it came about.
Well, Sean put it up.
Well, I thought on
But
the,
how was it decided that this was the way that we were gonna go?
I let Sean decide. Because we had to
I
get,
think it should have been a board decision.
as to where the camera is?
No, as to what kind of camera you want to get.
Oh, all right, well,
How is
it
it?
didn't
have you
occur to me
been-
that this was like a big discussion, and I just tried to get something.
Have you been watching it and what is it like on the feed?
You'll have to watch it and see.
Yeah,
Well,
Very
it's,
different.
it's
than
in one plate, it's, you know, we're spoiled. We were being
Well,
filmed by a
I'm-
real, on the historic designation.
I don't think we have any register of historic.
I think we talked about it. I remember
Okay.
coming up at a meeting and thinking it was a good idea, but we don't have anything in our code about it.
What the Historical Society offered to do after the last meeting is to begin the work
Yes.
of doing the inventory in the
Mhm,
town.
that would be helpful.
The language we had used at the last meeting was to try not to put the onus on the property owner on an ad hoc basis, but rather to create our inventory beforehand, I believe, was the strategy, which I thought made sense at the time. But Diane Wapnick, I think, was taking lead on that to
Yeah.
begin. I'm happy to go to the next Historical Society meeting and check in with them about that.
Have them take a look at these two laws and see if they think this is something that we want to do.
And the first one, though, is a law that says if a property in Pine Plains is on the historic register, for example, then you couldn't, the first law is
If
specific.
you want to demolish it, you have to come before the planning board for a
Yeah.
demolition permit, and there's all kinds of standards for.
But
Yeah.
specific
It's tricky,
only to
really
the
hard.
historic register, not to our own historic.
I don't remember whether it's,
No, there's lots of.
no, I think it's not
Yeah.
limited to.
It's not limited to
No.
the historic
Yeah,
register.
it's what the inventory that we produce, the municipality produces, so it could be more extensive. And the advisory board is something that you would have that would help the planning board in dealing with this, and archaeological issues also. We were asked by the planning board to create this because they felt that they needed some other assistance in making these decisions. It might be too much to pass at one time, but I think certainly the demolition law is something that you
I'm not sure this community is ready for this kind of an undertaking. My suggestion was a really, really limited one, that I've made over several years, which is just to, document a building that was being torn down. My reading of these laws, I find them very aggressive and very, rigorous in terms of not allowing buildings to be torn down at all. And if there's if they find a negative finding, then they have to show, what do they have to, they have to show that there's,
Danger
yes,
and hardship.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I don't think that this town is ready for that, but, I'm happy.
It might be, it does,
Pretty,
it
and
does
also-
provide an opportunity for people to challenge being put on that list.
Yeah.
And, so you might not be ready for that, but we talked about.
Oh, I
this
think
is-
it's wonderful to make an inventory.
Yeah.
I think an inventory is a really, really good idea. We should be moving in that direction. Rhinebeck has an incredible historic district, and it has huge number of historic houses, and they have been recognized nationally and all the rest. So this is like, my idea, big time. I don't think we're big time.
We're not ready for prime time historic.
I don't think
No,
so.
I was talking to the Dissing Center people about the
That one is the one we're
next door.
considering passing, the other one.
And,
we won't pass. Not yet, but we will.
What I found out was that a couple have taken it upon themselves to what they called mothballing. So that house is being put to sleep for an undetermined amount of time until they figure out what they want to do with it.
Because of its historic,
They feel that there are historic timbers in the, like, it goes back to 1840, I think they said. So the basement is full of all kinds of amazing structure that they wanted to preserve. The Stissing Center itself is not paying for this. This couple is doing it, and the term they use is mothballing. So that was not a term I
I
knew.
never heard that either.
And they're doing all these very specific things to make sure it doesn't rot, that nobody gets in it. It's gonna be sort of like wrapped in saran wrap for a while until they figure it out. The only problem I see with that is it's an empty building. And,
the Stissing Center owns it? Or this other couple?
yes, yes, no, the Stissing Center owns it. So,
They asked these people to do this?
no, they didn't ask the people. The people wanted to do it because it is their feeling that when you take, they feel it's an historic building. They don't want to take it down. They think when you do that, you create a gap in the street escape. I talked to them extensively about it because there's a lot of controversy about the building.
I think that's the main one.
Yeah,
You know, they haven't decided yet, and there's two different schools of thought on what they should do.
yeah, exactly.
To save or not to save. So-
Right.
And also the one adjacent to it.
Yeah,
So I think this is a safe way to make it decide.
yeah, okay, great.
But otherwise, I agree with Sarah. I mean, just to look at the committee that you have to put on here. That's a pretty high power.
It is a formidable law.
We don't have a lot of.
And I've had clients, not in Rhinebeck, but I've had clients in other jurisdictions have been put through the ringer on things they want to do with their property just because they're on the list. So it's not something that everybody would find favorable in terms
But
of being on the list.
I do agree that we should start small with an engineer.
Take some look at it and see, maybe there's a variation on the theme that we could come.
I kind of
it
like the
should be
last
part-
parts of it.
It should be part of our seeker review, if you're on that list or not.
Yeah.
And then a discussion
before,
follows about that.
We had discussed, a couple of years ago, the idea of there's a state program for assisting people with historic houses in renovations that they want to do. And that's a program that I think we really should be, thinking about and undertaking, because that's an incentive program. And it doesn't say that you're not allowed to do a different kind of addition or change in your house. It just helps you if you want to do one and you want to do it consistent with the historic value of the house. And we haven't moved forward on that, and I don't think the Historical Society has moved forward on that. And that's a program that we really ought to undertake.
I think we had a presentation on that.
We did,
Yeah.
it's a great program. It's a very, very good program. There's like no, it's a program with no downside.
Yeah.
We were talking about this at the planning.
And that gets people more aware of the historical value of the different homes, and it starts to identify homes with historic value. It's a
Yeah.
very good thing.
It was brought up in the planning meeting, the comprehensive plan meeting, so,
You maybe sent out you're not talking about the historical markers, are you?
no, that was just a.
That was a
that
separate
was
thing.
Funny.
I would love if we could submit some that are the Native American stuff that happened around here in addition to the
Yeah,
settlers stuff.
Diane said she would work on it, but we missed the round in Delaware.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
Dutchess
man.
County only gets brought into a round at a certain point, so.
What, for historic markers?
For historic markers, Dutchess County was, I don't know, a year ago.
Oh, no, my neighbor just got one.
Well, they would have gotten it from applying for it a year ago, but now.
Well, he had to do it, he did a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite rigorous,
Is
and
it?
he did a lot of work, and he's a librarian himself, and he did a lot of research,
Okay.
and a terrific job. It
Great.
was
But they
great.
open it up to different counties at different times,
Okay.
and
His was
evidently.
for his house, right, your neighbor's?
His property for a mill,
Oh, very cool.
and he's actually gonna do a public presentation over in Northeast, in September. Did you get the date? I'll make the date available
Great.
to people.
Would you speak for a few moments or two about when you mentioned, I guess, and kicked some of this off with that notion of recording or documenting historic structures. What did you mean? What might that entail in your?
Well, it would just entail somebody knowledgeable, we have knowledgeable people around, going in and, you could do a video and somebody speaking, there could be a written report from it, and you show what's in a house and what the structure, how it was made, and things that are of interest and significance, and how old it was, and so you know the history of that building. And I know, for instance, there are a number of properties, the Durst properties that were torn down and had some they were very old, and in a lot of people's opinion had major historical value.
That could have
And there
been
was no
gleaned
documentation.
from a video recording or digital recording, you think that would have been sufficient?
Yes, with somebody knowledgeable walking through
Okay.
and indicating what it was. There's a very, Stan did a really interesting walkthrough with the Patchen Mill, which you could see on Pine Plains Views, where a very knowledgeable guy goes through and says what it was, what the dates were of the stuff. It's fascinating, very, very interesting.
That would be sort of relatively simple thing to ask people to do. too.
It's not such a difficult thing. The issues have to do with who pays for it, whose undertaking it is, and some specifics to work out. It's not a huge undertaking if you want to tear a whole building down. Now, you don't want to do it with a building that's not old, you know, or, I mean, there are issues, and even in this law, if a building is not viable, it has to be torn down. If a building is dangerous, it has to be torn down immediately. I mean, there are just certain things that make sense.
Okay.
We could start with the roof programs.
There you go.
You have not been in it yet to see how bad it is.
Well, no, but I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
What year would that house have been built, do you suppose?
Oh, that's gotta be,
Ruth Pulver?
mid-1800s. What's that?
The Ruth Pulver House, 1840.
I was gonna say
Wow,
mid
see?
1800s.
So there's old wood in that house,
Sure.
in that house.
Right.
I mean, we should document it.
Yeah.
You have to wear a mask for the mold.
There's a lot of
It's terrible. It's really bad.
Wow.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
All right, old library sale.
We actually are scheduling a closing. We're doing a closing by mail. I have documents I need you to sign.
Okay.
So if we could, like to go in executive session for a few minutes and get you to sign those.
Yeah, I have that listed at the end of your whole thing. We can go in there quickly
Right,
and do
so
that.
that's ready, and then if you can mail the documents back to Barbara,
Okay.
we won't even have to go to the closing, so.
Oh, okay.
We'll do that.
All right.
And what else do I have on here?
Fire department?
Fire department.
I'd like to talk to you a few minutes in executive session. Dual zoning, Up
What's
to
been
them.
happening
I
with
don't know
duals
if
is
you know.
that Warren and I have been exchanging emails from various people asking us what's going on and trying to tell them that what they need to do, and there's been some confusion on their part. So I feel like there's still interest from the party that wants to do the soccer thing, but they've been confused as to what they do next. And what they do next is redesign their plan.
You gave them that memo that I
I
did.
gave everything
I mean,
to-
that's a map, that takes you right through the whole process.
And they gave it to their lawyer as well.
And their lawyer should have that, and he called me, he didn't know what to do, and I said, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, they want some guarantee that the town board is gonna look favorably. I said, there's no guarantee that'll happen. I mean, the town is in favor of adaptive reuse of property, but can't guarantee you that the law would be passed, the change in the zoning, and then the way we have it, I recommend that they do it. They're still gonna have to get variances from the zoning board of appeals, so I don't know how that's gonna work.
So we would not need to amend our zoning to accommodate?
We would have to amend the zoning, but we wouldn't amend the bulk regulations. It's in my memo. I didn't recommend doing that, and then allowing them to get area variances, which are not difficult. But it's really a roadmap. They pick up that document, they should know.
It
what
was
to do.
very clear.
Yeah.
And the changes they're making are just to sort of where they're putting the parking lot maybe to the original?
Remember that, yeah, it was all that stuff that wasn't in code. So,
I don't know what else I can do to
yeah.
get them to move forward. If they don't wanna do it, they should do it.
Do they still have an option on the property?
Until it expires in the end of August. So, Joan is wondering what's going on too.
Yeah.
And they're thinking that we, as a board, would not look favorably upon it even after.
Well, the communication I got from their lawyer is that, what have you been doing about it? It's like somehow that they think that we're moving forward with the rezoning, and I said that that's not the case. We discussed it, and I told them what they need to do to.
You totally laid it out.
To go through.
You totally laid it out.
It's really,
It was
I couldn't make it any more simplistic.
It was a how-to.
Yeah.
You know, and just follow that and come in and do it, you know. And I said their clients appear before the board a couple of times. They should, they received a warm reception. I don't know what else, you know, nobody told them to go away, you know, so. But that's all we can do. We can't hold their hands and do it ourselves.
And we can't promise.
You know, and you can't make any
Understood.
promises, obviously, 'cause you don't know what's gonna happen. You could have, you know, you set it down for a public hearing, people could object to it, I don't know. So,
All right, well,
anyway,
we're
so
at the
that's-
end of this period, we could go into executive.
Yeah, one
session.
other question I can do, Heather had asked me to look at it. She has a piece of property that the property owner has been putting boulders within the town right-of-way at the edge of the driveway, and she wanted to know whether she can remove them and charge it back to the owner, and you can. I'm gonna just give you these sections of the highway law, and it lays out what you need to do and the notices you have to give, and we can, you can remove those boulders, and you have to give notice, prior notice as a procedure, and we can charge back the cost of doing that to the property owner, so I'll leave this with
The
you.
person putting the boulders there is not property owner, probably.
That's correct as well. It's not the legal property owner.
And there might be a change of flow through that area this calendar year, right? That might make it solve the problem a little bit too.
I'm not sure that's going to, that part won't, no, that won't solve the problem around
It
that
won't.
corner, no. No, because it's not shifting that traffic over.
Okay.
So that will still be a problem unless he's notified properly of what needs to happen.
Maybe we could talk about that in a second.
Okay, so I'll leave this
Okay.
for you.
Thank you.
If you have any questions.
Brian, you're here, and we're about to move on.
Yeah, if I might, just take a minute or two here.
Okay.
I'm Brian Keeler, I'm from the Stissing Center, and we have some pretty exciting things coming up the end of the month and the early next month. And I just wanted to notify the town board as to exactly what was happening, and to leave a letter with the police department here. At the end of the month, on the 31st, we're having the grand opening. We're finally going to open our doors. And we're holding a large party, dance, food, drink, and it's free of charge, and we're expecting some 300 people there. And some of the things we're going to be doing is going to impact, hopefully positively, the town, but I wanted to give everybody a heads up that on the 31st, there will probably be somewhere 350 people at the Stissing Center. And then on the 7th, we're having our inaugural concert with Wynton Marsalis. We've sold out, so we're gonna have some 300 people there as well. And I have a letter here for the board, which also outlines the entire schedule we have coming up. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up and to invite you all to come and celebrate finally the opening of this building.
We are really excited.
It's,
Very exciting.
And the best part about it is, if you've taken a tour and you've seen the building during the last few years, when you walk in there now and you see what we've done with that building, I guarantee it will take your breath away. So.
Do we get hats?
Yes.
Okay, I'm coming.
We just got these as a matter of fact. So I want to welcome you all and invite you and to let you know what's happening. This is also for the fire department, but.
We don't have a box for them?
We don't have a box, but sometimes somebody shows up, so.
Okay.
So.
One thing I want to mention, I was at the planning board meeting last night, and they're aware that this is happening.
Mhm.
There was a little bit of lack of clarity on what, if any, additional changes have been made, and I think if there are changes, they would like to have you come
Absolutely.
and let them know what those changes are.
The only change that we've made is we've gone to the board and we've gotten the board's approval for the change. We put some transformers on the side behind the very house that you
Yeah,
were talking
people
about.
did remember that.
Yeah, that was the only change that we've made so far.
Okay.
Everything else remains the same in terms of, because we're doing 3 phases in our construction. We're just finishing phase 1, which will allow us to occupy the performing arts space. And we've also got the bathrooms are all done, and it's pretty cool. Phase 2.
And you have a temporary certificate of occupancy?
Yes, Drew has
Okay.
just given it to us. And phase 2 is gonna be the addition of that extension on the back, which will have a elevator and storage and another staircase in the back. And it'll also house some HVAC stuff on top. That's what we're gonna have to come back to the planning board.
Okay, they were just unclear.
Right.
They were unclear.
Right, well, I think I mentioned at the time that we're gonna come back with a redesign of that rear addition, because since we bought the property next door, we have the ability to be able to make that more simple. Because the property line constraints were such with the 40-foot setback in the back and all the things we had to do, it made that rear addition very complicated and expensive. But now that we own the property next door, we can simplify it.
And then there will be some additional parking spaces back there, I assume as well.
That's exactly right.
Okay,
That's exactly right.
great.
So,
No
but I
problem.
wanted to show up because we're all incredibly excited and I wanted to share my enthusiasm.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
That's totally great.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and knock on wood,
Picture of
the
wood.
building will be ready.
Okay.
Excellent.
Be there.
Yes, they are. I've got a couple more in the car, so I'll bring them back.
Great, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
At this time, I would like to go into executive session to discuss the fire department and deal with the old library sale documents.
Second that? Aye, aye?
So you made the motion there?
I did.
Yeah.
And who did the
Matt
second?
seconded it. I can really do it.
Sometimes